Hi everyone, this is Joe Brewer. I'm sorry I'm not able to join you live today, but Penny and I needed to take care of some administrative issues related to her visa in Colombia, so we're on the road. But today I'm really excited to share several important updates for the design school, and so let's just jump right in. We have been working very hard to form a tapestry of relationships with organizations including everyone listed here and more. And our focus is on creating a coherent tapestry of bioregions across the planet, and also to bring greater coherence to the regenerative movement across different networks and communities so that we can all work in a concerted manner at local, regional, and planetary scales. One of the things that's been emerging for us is this powerful dream. Imagine with me if together we were able to create a bioregional Earth where humans all across the planet are regenerating entire continents as tapestries of landscapes, the ways that we talk about here for places like the Great Lakes, Cascadia, and the Colorado Basin, but applied everywhere on Earth. Right now, the members of the design school are cultivating the leadership capacity and forming a tapestry of partnerships to be able to reorganize ourselves to this planetary scale. And we're starting to envision creating a nonprofit organization called Bioregional Earth that the design school will be a part of, and this network of collaboration with other partners will be able to organize through and organize with to be able to create this planetary tapestry. And I want to demonstrate this with a couple of the conversations we've been having recently. For example, last week I met with Stuart Cowan, who's now the executive director of the Buckminster Fuller Institute. And Stuart and I worked together in the Regenerative Communities Network as part of the Capital Institute back in 2019. This is a screenshot that I took during our meeting where we were also talking with a woman named Samantha Power, who's the founder of Finance for Gaia, and she's working to create impact funds for this large-scale regenerative work. And when I took this screenshot, it was because I wanted to show you how deeply aligned we are, because this is the operational focus of Buckminster Fuller Institute. As you can see, they want to cultivate bioregional resilience and regeneration by gathering together geospatial data through mapping and baseline studies, together with traditional ecological knowledge, to be able to create a global platform for regenerative solutions that can be mapped down to landscapes. They want to be able to apply design science through their design science studio to run scenarios and simulations with on-the-ground communities that are doing bioregional work. And they want to help cultivate the capacity for governance and investment to be able to create these regional governance systems and help to implement these strategies in the world. Now you can see this is all stuff that they want to do, and actually what we are doing in the design school is organizing the landscape leaders to enable this to manifest from the ground up. So it's so clear to us that we will be working with Buckminster Fuller Institute to collaborate around doing this. Another thing that Stuart shared was that they have implementation and funding pathways and their own network of collaborative partners through a consortium and regional partners listed here. And what they want to do is activate a diverse network of stakeholders with long-term commitment. They want to do this. And they're just starting to organize the data, the programs, the collaboration networks, so that they can move toward this work. But of course, we've already started doing this in the design school, and we're way out front. So rather than competing, we're going to join forces to be able to collaborate around this shared vision. Similarly, if you look at the work of the Department of Bioregions, with its most visible activity through the Cascadia Department of Bioregion, led by Brandon Letzinger, who's part of the design school, just look at this statement that they've written on their website. A world of bioregional movements. They say, we build bioregional movements. It is our goal to develop watershed and bioregional-based frameworks that can provide a viable and positive alternative to existing power structures. You can see that they are already working to build a bioregional movement, so obviously we'll want to join forces with them and collaborate together through the activities of the design school and create a coherent single platform, which is what we're calling bioregional Earth. There's similar levels of clarity and alignment for HILO, for the people working on the Edgewalker Prize, for the work of the Novo Foundation, for the Regenesis Group, for various other groups like R3.0, like Sustainable Brands, people that we're connected with, that we're beginning to actively weave and collaborate to be able to build this bioregional Earth platform. And one of the big steps that we've taken since the last design school update 2 weeks ago is that we have now established a design school leadership council comprised of 17 members of the design school who are all design level members, each of whom is actively leading work at a landscape scale. So here you can see members of the design school representing the Great Lakes, the Greater Takaranto bioregion, the Genesee River Finger Lakes area, Cascadia, the West Elk bioregion centered around Paonia, the Roaring Fork bioregion centered around Carbondale, Grand Junction, Mexicali and the delta of the Colorado River, and so forth. And also Superior, Arizona, the Four Corners region centered around Cortez, the Colorado Basin scale of work, the Great Lakes Basin scale of work, the Cascadia scale of work, all of them represented by a leadership council that is helping us to imagine and envision this bioregional Earth organization and strategy. One thing that we've also been working hard to do, or maybe I should more accurately say, Penny has been working very hard to do, is she has been setting up different geographic spaces for the bioregions already associated with the design school, and then helping leaders of these landscapes to get trained and to take over leadership of managing these self-organizing community spaces. Here are some of the bioregions associated with the Colorado River Basin. Here are some of the bioregions associated with the Great Lakes. There are also bioregions associated with the Northern Acadian Forest and with the Northern Andes that are not listed here. And what you can see is that we are already laying the groundwork for a planetary network of bioregions. While all of these are organized in North America, we're actively collaborating with people in India. And last week, there was a special session hosted by design school members Kiran, Lamia, and Sean, showing how they're working to do this in the Indo-Gangean plateau, or in the plain of the Himalayas, as well as in the Aghanashini watershed. And so we're starting to work actively in other parts of the world. And we have cultivated through our leadership council the ability to have strategic guidance from landscape leaders to build this planetary network collaboratively as we add more landscapes and more bioregions to our network. Now, as all of this work is emerging and taking form and these different landscapes are organizing themselves, this means the landscape leaders can invite community members from their landscapes to join the design school and plug in directly for on-the-ground organizing in their own landscapes, as well as learning exchanges with other landscapes. And this leads to another very important design lab that we've just kicked off and that we talked about in the design school update 2 weeks ago, which is an activation supports design lab associated with bioregional activation tours. Said another way is we are creating the infrastructure and supports for bioregional activations. This design lab is focusing on things like how do we create template websites and shared databases and data sharing as well as data sovereignty protocols? How do we create communications around the different scales of narrative and the different ways of organizing between landscapes, bioregions, subcontinental scale processes, and continents as a whole? All of this is emerging through the Leadership Council, through the landscape leadership in the bioregions, and for all members of the design school to participate in starting now. We've also updated the home area of the platform as we talked about in the previous update. And this includes establishing the bioregional learning exchange. And every Sunday, Penny writes a post sharing the upcoming events for the week. And you can see the Design School hosted events for this week include today's Design School update session, a bioregional design session on Thursday, a Design School campfire on Friday, and there are local activities like the Great Lakes Learning Exchange, bioregional mapping, and other activities hosted by members of the Design School within their respective spaces, which is to say, learning exchanges within and between bioregions are already occurring, have been occurring for a few months, and we are systematically building our capacities to get better and better at supporting these learning exchanges. So this is why we can say that we can partner with groups like Buckminster Fuller Institute or the Department of Bioregion, because they have been hoping for this kind of on-the-ground and between bioregion learning exchanges. And here in the Design School, we're developing the capacities in practice and developing it with real-world landscapes. Another big change that has happened in the last 2 weeks is that Benji, because we received funding to enable us to do this work, Benji has just purchased a car, this car, to enable him to travel throughout the Colorado Basin. And Benji heads off this week to Paonia in his new car to be able to support immersion, community campfires, learning exchanges, and travel between communities within the Colorado Basin. And so this week, Benji begins his formal immersion in the Colorado Basin so that we can have the Design School's efforts be primarily on the ground and supported through these online learning exchanges. And this is work that he is very excited to be stepping into, and he's been working very hard to prepare for in the last few weeks. Also, Penny and I were invited to the Greater Takaranto bioregion, which is the region in southern Ontario, centered around Lake Ontario, the Greater Toronto area, the Oak Ridges Moraine, and the Niagara Escarpment, and the Greenbelt that is mapped into this profile of the Greater Takaranto bioregion here. What's really powerful about this is on Saturday of this week, July 29th, Penny and I are going to get on an airplane and fly from Columbia to Toronto, and then we're going to spend about 10 days in a very intensely packed agenda organized by Brian and Susan of the Legacy Project to have us meet with directors of conservation authorities, council members from city councils, to visit intergenerational schools and regenerative farms, to collaborate with some of the regional philanthropic institutions and investment groups, and start doing the work of building a collaborative funding and governance ecosystem in service to the Bioregional Learning Center that they are working very hard to set up. Also, we'll be meeting with Indigenous leaders from the Mohawk and Algonquin nations, and so some of the various tribes of the region, who will begin to help bridge between this vision of bioregionalism and multi-thousand-year histories of the Indigenous peoples in service to regenerative education at a bioregional scale. And as we deepen these relationships, prototype these activation support processes, there are other things that are happening, which is that last week we had a wonderful meeting with the Regenesis group about weaving a dialogue for the story of place across the Colorado Basin. Some work that Chris Casillas in Superior, Arizona, Eduardo Esparza in the Baja California and Mexicali region, Gwen Garcelon in Carbondale in one of the headwaters of the Colorado River, and Benji hosting the dialogues of the Colorado Basin, that they are now beginning to explore how to create podcasts, other kinds of multimedia communication tools, how to work with the Regenesis group, which is a group that has almost 40 years of experience. They are like established elder leaders of the regenerative movement, and we're beginning to deeply collaborate with them around story of place for the Colorado Basin. So this is something that is rolling out with Benji as he drives across the Continental Divide from Denver to Paonia this week. Another thing that's happening is that our Live Learning Center is now hosting cultural evolution courses and Earth systems courses. Last weekend, I gave the third webinar in an emerging series on Earth system science. And yesterday, I posted the invitation to the first cultural evolution event that'll take place after our return from the Greater Takaranto bioregion. So I want to invite you to go and look at the Live Learning Center and sign up for these webinars, watch the recordings of previous webinars, and just come and learn with us about these foundational areas of knowledge that we're applying in all of our work in the design school. Another exciting thing that started to happen is that Penny and Lena have begun hosting the Inner Space. And so I really recommend that you go and check out the Inner Space area of the design school and look at what they're doing, so that you can see how they are starting to hold a series of dialogues and inquiries about a very important question. What kinds of inner capacities must we develop to face planetary collapse, to live through the grief, to cultivate our capacities for devotion, and to dedicate ourselves fully to regenerating the Earth? This is a multifaceted, rich, dynamic space. They hosted their first orientation session last week and are very excited to bring new things and new activities with the people who are participating with them. And so if you'd like to get involved, I encourage you to go check out the Inner Space. So all of this leads to something that I think is really important, which is if you go and look at the landing page for the Design School for Regenerating Earth, you'll see that we say these words. People all over the world are gathering to regenerate the Earth at the bioregional scale and organize into a planetary network of learning exchanges between landscapes. All of this is being done in service to the regeneration of the entire planet. And what you can see from this Design School update is that we are serious about every single word in this description. But here's the amazing thing. We're doing all of this work, yet right now, almost no one knows about the Design School. There are 111 members of the Design School right now. And as we said in the first Design School update over a month ago, is that the best way to grow coherently as a community is through personal referrals. So I'd like to invite you as a member of the Design School to ask yourself, who should be a member of this Design School? Who should know about what we're doing? And would you invite them to join? Now we know that through our bioregional activation process, including a big upcoming Regenerate Cascadia tour in October, we know we can grow organically by engaging with local community members and inviting them to join. But now that we already have more than 40 members of the Design School who are at the community level, we'd like to ask all of you, who do you know that should be a part of this? Because as we've described before, we've made it very easy for people to become members and to support our work. People can become community level members for only $5 a month, and they can become supporters of this work, and they can become members of the community commons of the Design School. They also get a discount by joining at the $50 per year level. And what I want to emphasize here is that this is not paying $5 a month for a consumer service or a consumer product. This is like $5 a month of continuing support. Think of things like GoFundMe or like Patreon, where people become supporters of work that they care about. If you know anyone who you think would want to support our work and who would like to follow along with what we're doing, the easiest way for them to do this is to become a community level member. So, how can you help the Design School to continue from where it is? First of all, get involved in any of the activities that we've described here. And by the way, there are other activities I didn't even describe here. There's so much happening in our very dynamic Design School. But I just encourage you to get involved wherever your heart pulls you and where your passion is the strongest. Also, please help spread the word out in the world to invite new members as you get inspired by what we're doing, share that inspiration and spread it to your friends. Also, contribute ideas and materials on the platform. The easiest way to do this is to go to the member lounge in the home area of the school, or if you join one of the geographic spaces, one of the bioregions, because you live there or you'd like to learn more about what's happening in that space, you can contribute to the posts, you can join the events, and you can post articles yourself or post videos or other material that are related to what that area, what that space is about. You can also watch the daily check-ins that Penny, Benji, and I are doing, which are these very short 3 or 4 minute videos we do every day to keep you informed about the incredible complexity and richness of the design school as it unfolds. You can follow along in real time for the incredible complexity of what's emerging by watching the daily check-ins in the school happenings. You can also use the daily check-in hashtag in school happenings to find all of our previous check-ins and watch as many of them as you like. And then, of course, join local efforts when you can. If you see that Penny and I are going to the Greater Takaranto bioregion, you might want to join the Greater Takaranto bioregion space, which is nested under the Great Lakes region. And then by joining, you'll receive updates about our time that we're going to spend there, including on August 3rd, a community event. And now that Benji is moving literally to locate himself in the Colorado Basin, that you can join the Colorado River Basin area to join local events as they emerge. And then, of course, give feedback about how we're doing. You can send a private message to Penny, Benji, or myself. You can share feedback in the member lounge and in other community spaces. You can share feedback in these design school updates, and so on. And so that's my design school update for you for today. And I'd love for you to have a discussion about it. Again, I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but Benji is here to host today so he can facilitate discussion. And we look forward to sharing the recording and learning about your feedback about all that is happening in the design school. Thank you, and onward, fellow humans.